Happening, everybody? Time for an update. So I've been a little bit under the weather here the last couple of days, so I don't know how productive this weekend's going to be, but I want to give you a little bit of a rundown of where I finished up at last week and where I am at now. Last week I was messing with the cooling system and got all these pipes and everything pulled out. Got them all cleaned up because of all that crap that's in the system. I have gotten a couple messages from you guys as far as, you know, you guys are picking up cars with blown motors and stuff like that too. I would really recommend pulling the whole system apart and going ahead and upgrading the radiators if you can. If not, at the very least, taking them and having them professionally cleaned, because the crap that was coming out of them was it was absolutely ridiculous. But you can see I've got the aluminum radiators in now, front, center, and both sides of it there, and I'm just waiting on a few more coolant pipes to come in. But a few things to be aware of on that. There's two spots, one on the kind of back right of the radiator and back left. You can actually kind of see the piece of rubber I've stuffed in there. That radiator does want to rub right on the steel support there a little bit there, and right on the kind of front left of the radiators. I will get the bumper cover back off next week. I've got the car kind of stuck in the air. I've got other cars underneath it right now, so can't pull it down, but that's something to be aware of. You might want to just put something, you know, I just cut up some of the old rubber hoses and just put those in there just to keep it from rubbing, because that steel will eventually rub through the aluminum on those radiators. But overall, the installation was pretty good. They're a little bit tight fit, and they're not, you know, not direct bolt in, like I said. They are direct bolt in, but you know, as far as the fitment, they're a little bit tight. So just got to be aware of those things. But otherwise, you know, all the fans, everything bolt right to them. It's a very good setup. So I'm very pleased with the CSF radiators that I got. All right, moving on down the line here. You know, I guess a couple people had asked some other questions with regards to bolts and braces and things like that. So I'll just try to address what I can recall in the meantime. So I've got the cross brace mounted in there. Side to side, it's 26 inches across. And you can see they've got a little recess in there, basically cut to where it fits along with the tunnel. And if you look on the back side, they actually had little holes up there for the e-brake brace to mount to, and I ended up welding the nuts on the back of that there so you could just screw it in directly. But it's 26 inches side to side, and then they've also got these little side plates that you're going to have to fabricate, because essentially you're just cutting out and gutting this whole area. That's where your front mount braces are for the stock motor. And so once you cut all that out of the way, you know, then you have to fill in that gap there. So you know, do that carefully, but once you start cutting into it, it's really pretty obvious. So you'll see what I mean when you get in there. But a little scary at first, but not too big of a deal, like I said, once you dive into it. You know, keep in mind you got very little clearance right there. You may have to shave that brace down a little bit, but that's all going to be kind of part of fitting each individual motor into each car. LS1s may be a little different, things like that. So with regards to bolts, somebody said that same problem I had. You know, Renegade sent you know, a couple boxes and bags of bolts that are all over the place, and you don't have any idea where anything goes. Well, welcome to the club. Unfortunately, I don't have better advice for you than that, other than, you know, just make sure that all your bolts are protruding through your nuts, and make sure you got, you know, plenty of threads on each bolt. I ended up having to make a lot of trips to Threads for the South, you know, one of the hardware stores locally to me here, you know, in order to get other bolts. So you will have to do that, so just keep that in mind. Another question was asked about somebody's wanting to, you know, think about doing turbocharging already, and, you know, where would be a good spot to put a turbocharger? Well, driver's side here is going to be a little bit tight. By the time I've got the water pump bolted into place, that's where the electric pump sits on the cross brace, but you're going to have a bunch of hoses coming off of that back here, things like that. So I'm sure you could do a small turbocharger, you know, right here, or, you know, the other side if you just want to do a big single. You know, you could probably do one over here. There's a little bit more room. Or, you know, you could probably go all the way to the back here, like I was saying, and maybe do it behind the transmission. I don't know. I'm not really too concerned about that, but this video will give you an idea as far as some of the space you've got to work with there. So, anyway, moving on from that, I am getting ready to build the exhaust system here. And that's going to require some pretty tight spacing. So I do have the underbody braces in, the axles in place. I forgot to bring my sway bar back in, so I need to get that in before I start building and cutting stuff for it. But effectively, you're going to have a very small area where your pipe's going to have to come through that hole right there. in order to clear it, and I'm probably going to want to build a heat shield or something for the axles as well. But you know, that'll be something we'll just have to play with as we go. But I do have all my exhaust stuff pretty much here now. Mufflers, catalytic converters, some bent pipe, some straight pipe, gaskets, flanges, all sorts of things like that. So you know, hopefully we'll be messing with that here soon as well. Got some cooling stuff too. I did get my starter in, and that has actually become a little bit of an issue. So this is something you guys may want to pay attention to. I'm gonna have to go look at my original oil pan when I get home. But right now, I bought the IMI high torque starter that Kennedy Engineering recommends to get this, you know, to fit correctly with it, and it's a clockable starter, which is awesome. So you can actually take and based on those 2 bolt holes on the side there, clock it into any of those 4 positions in order to make it work. And right now the problem I'm finding that the only position it's going to clock in is essentially putting it right up against that oil level sender, which you do not actually need to run this motor, and you're not going to be using that to send oil level to any of the gauges. So I think what's going to happen is that's either going to get pulled out or cut off, but I'm going to go double check my other oil pan before I just go ripping that thing off and have a hole in my new oil pan. But effectively that'll just sit up in there into position 2, and that'll, you know, hopefully give us enough room, because right now it's not enough room to sit flush in there. As you can see, it just pretty much hits right up against that sensor there and doesn't give me any more room to go. So clocking it in any other position is not possible, because it would be over into the exhaust area, or, you know, hitting the side of the block. So I really hope cutting that sensor down is going to work. Trying to think if there's anything else here. Yeah, that's going to be about it for today. Like I said, I'll hopefully get in here tomorrow a little bit more and get a few more things done. But if you've got any more questions, things like that, I'm glad to answer them or do whatever I can to try to help you guys out. So give me a buzz, shoot me an email, whatever you'd like. Otherwise, y'all take care and have a good one. See you.